I am starting the recording. Thanks for joining us. I think the last time, I apologize, we had an error and we had an old link and a new link, and also Kevin was on vacation, so it was only me, and so I think there were some people who actually didn't get to the proper link and weren't able to get in, so I apologize for that. But um very excited to have Dr. Haroldo Magarinos with us again. Um, Many of you who've been with us here before have heard Haroldo, but I wanted to touch base with him as I've talked to you guys before about his new company, DetoxU, and some of the technology he's trying to bring forward. And so I wanted to get an update on that because it also just points to how difficult the regulatory environment is for, especially for, small companies trying to bring something new to the market. And so I wanted to talk about that a bit and just have a conversation about this total toxic burden that we seem to be swimming in and can't seem to get away from. And so maybe just take a minute, Geraldo, reintroduce yourself and give us an update on how things are going, and I will pin you to the screen here. Oh, no, I don't want to.
So the thanks for having me here again. I mean, we have been quite busy trying to finalize the last steps in this project. I'm a firm believer that protocols and proactive solutions are amazing and very needed, especially today. This was not, as I said many times, this is not our grandparents' world in any form. And now we're dealing with challenges that we never even thought we will have in our lifetime, and it became a worldwide problem. And unfortunately, I love my country, but United States has been quite deficient in taking care of these type of situations, and these are becoming the biggest challenge for human health nowadays. I can't think about anything else that is not connected, profoundly connected to toxicity. And so with that in mind, we have a very harsh environment. We have a lot of aggravating factors around that we can't avoid. And that's something that I also like to highlight, because I hear so many times, no, you have to do this and that, and you're going to be fine. And yes, absolutely great if you can avoid what is avoidable, but the toxic burden that is getting in your body, it's an 80% unavoidable, and that is something that we need to just accept, because that's the first step to become proactive, is acceptance. We need to understand that this is the world we're living in right now. So a quick update. Well, our products are out there and they're available for everyone to use, and I will go through the rationale of how you can use them if you're interested. But we're also working on a laboratory analysis. I think that information is empowering in any form, in any kind. And that's the same way that I've been observing the microbiome very closely with full metagenomic analysis for the past many years. I don't know, like quite a while.
Long time.
And I've seen thousands and thousands of them, and that was eye-opening to me, because it allowed me to understand how these environments and the microbiome patterns are behaving and moving and switching and highlighting certain symptoms and conditions, etc. So the same patterns you can observe when you look at the toxicological elements inside your body. And so the connection actually is profound between the microbiome and toxicity. But I do believe that if you have information in front of your eyes, then you understand very quickly, first, that this is not something that's happening to the next person in the neighborhood, this is happening to you. And if you start testing everyone around you, you understand also that it's happening to every single person in this world in, unfortunately, a very important manner. And second of all, that you can actually pinpoint the major sources of toxins, so you can become more efficient in the ability of avoiding things. But as I said before, because that's not a guarantee that you will eliminate them completely out of your body and out of the environment, then also you can become more proactive with more intentionality, more precision. And I love precision because it allows optimization. And I'm all about optimization because this is what we need now. The body does amazing things for us, but we need to support the optimal processing and functions that are occurring on a daily basis, so we can cope with these bigger challenges. The challenges are huge. Now, our body has a huge amount of resilience, but it needs to be optimized. And that's what I'm all about. So when we look at, for example, probiotics, we look at how we are optimizing functionality within.
Nope, you froze.
Our microbiome, melatonin, neurotransmitter regulation, protecting the gut lining, creating all these molecules that will adjust the zonulin levels and tight junction closing and opening in a way that is healthy for us, and managing toxins, metabolites, absorbing nutrients, etc. So many beautiful things that you have been talking with Martha for a long time. And we know that can be done. But when it comes to toxicity, what do we do? Like, they're coming in and they seem to be pretty much unavoidable, as I said before. And with that in mind, our body has a very straightforward pathway to deal with these guys, with these toxins. Can we do something to improve that functionality, to make it better, to optimize what is being managed in our body's pathways? And yes, we can. And we have these systems. These are not new. These were the systems that were upregulated when we were eating the lettuce and the leafy greens and the root vegetables and the botanicals we use on a daily basis 50 years ago, 60 years ago, maybe 80 years ago. And now, because it's not really like productive, or even from a marketing standpoint, they're not really good seller points. Now they're removing molecules, they're extracting things, they're changing the genetic components of the plants. We don't get the bitters, we don't get the antioxidant load that we had before. The vitamins that we're used to get in an orange are not there in sufficient amounts. And now we struggle to get all these things incorporated in our daily life to sustain this functionality on these pathways that are coping with the toxicity elements. And so the support went down and the toxic load went up. So that's a very scary disconnection.
Yes.
And so if you want to improve your microbiome, as I said before, the microbes are responsive to the terrain they're living in. If you get dysbiosis on a recurrent basis, and you're doing everything you can to support your microbiome status, and it's not sustainable, it's not working to the level you want to, maybe the missing piece is not the probiotic you're taking or your diet. It's maybe the terrain that's getting toxins all the time in large amounts, and those are creating dysfunction at your organ level performance and also at the microbiome terrain performance. Remember, microbes are survivors, and if they need to switch and change their patterns and composition to stay alive, they will. And if they're getting exposed to mercury, heavy metals, organophosphates, pesticides of multiple kinds, and microplastics all day long, they will switch to whatever they can, whatever pattern might be useful to cope with these elements and remove them more efficiently out of your body. Actually, it's out of their system. And if they become too aggravated, actually that will increase toxicity on your end. So we know that when the microbiome is imbalanced, it brings more toxicity elements to the body. If it's in balance, that's why it's so important to support the microbiome while you're detoxifying. That's when you can actually bring the equation towards a favorable outcome from the microbiome pathways perspective. And now your microbiome becomes your ally in detoxifying. Is supporting detoxification, can transform molecules to more benign forms. It can excrete things, can produce cytophores, and they can grab molecules and send them out of your body, especially metals. It can grab mercury and prevent methylation from occurring in large amounts. All these things that we want to be managed in an optimal form, there's a huge role the microbiome plays in these modulations. So supporting the microbiome and also optimizing your detoxification pathways is literally one thing. It's just one thing that pays off in reducing the toxic load, improving functionality. And at the end of the day, this is something I always mention in my lectures. Everyone is so hyped about cellular performance, longevity, anti-aging, like energy. If you're toxic, you get nothing out of your mitochondria. Same with your immune system, which will be overloaded with toxins and all these inputs coming out from the outside. It gets drained. You don't have an infinite amount of energy to support everything at the same time. So if you're overloading your immune system all the time with all these foreign molecules, your immune system also communicates with your microbiome. Let's say your microbiome gets imbalanced. Now it gets more gram-negative dominant. You get all the lipopolysaccharides released. It's triggering immunological responses at the same time. So you get all these overwhelming amounts of toxicity and inputs towards the immune system function. It drains all the energy. And now you want to go and have a run or go to your Pilates class and feel great and wake up energized and go through your day without any drops in your energy curve. That won't happen, because you don't have enough energy to sustain your daily basic needs. This is playing a massive role in how we are feeling today. And doing something about it, I think it makes absolute sense in all things considered.
Well, a couple of things I want to ask you about specifically. So a few months back, I think we had a text message thread going back and forth about these quaternary ammonium compounds that are in so many of the household cleaning, but they are also part of food production and dairy operations. And so we had talked a bit about that, but recently, the work I've been doing with Dr. Ninham, we're working on a paper to expand the understanding of how these quaternary compounds act in the body. And one of the things that they do is they actually change the structure of the bile. And so then bile is not as functional as it should be, which is, and I know I've heard you talk a lot about bile as an important detoxifier. So maybe just give people a real high level about what bile does and in the detoxification process. And I do know, and I'll get out some of your bottles and I'll show people, but you know, you have some herbs and things in your products that are also trying to help support bile.
Yeah, I actually have a few slides I can share with everyone that they are displaying the botanicals, so it gives you a good general
That'd be
sense
great.
of,
Yeah.
what we're trying to achieve. But the surfactants are just concerning. The moment you raise that flag, thank you so much, because if I wasn't overwhelmed enough with all these other pieces of information, I got another one that unfortunately so far I haven't found any practical solution, because the residual amounts that this is something I learned from you and just quoting you, but also what I read and the rabbit hole I went through. But the residual amounts that they are left in any of the elements, the items that are used for manufacturing and processing foods, which is like this a vast list of foods that they will get in touch with these surfactants, it's so minimal what you need in order to get the damage done. And so I remember that famous quote that the dosage makes the poison.
Poison.
Yeah. So for this,
and then they also accumulate because it takes so long. At least Dr. Ninham's work was up to 9 months, and he actually had they actually had an accident in their lab with a couple of their students who were working on some of the research, broke a glass vial that had some of the surfactant in it, and it spilled, and they cleaned it up, but they continued to take measurements from the 2 students in the lab up to 9 months, and it was still there.
Good that I'm working with biological weapons. That would be a different.
Yeah. So I mean, just like it's kind of so then if you're being exposed to them day after day after day. So I did do a presentation in January to this group on higher level surfactant, just talking about the basics, and I put out a PDF document to give people some kind of guidance about what to look for in their everyday life. But the one thing I'm struggling with is the dairy side of things, because if they are using it in wide scale, and there are other means of cleaning dairy. They use chlorine dioxide and some other things, but there's no way for you to know what kind of a facility your milk is coming out of, and it incorporates into the lipids in the milk. So what I don't know, and what I hear, I have a hypothesis that the microbes are somehow fixing the problem when we do the long culturing. So, because Dr. Davis has a lot of success with people who do the 36-hour yogurt, where it's fermented for 36 hours, and I'm thinking, okay, those microbes must be able to somehow change those lipid structures and break the surfactants down in some way, because otherwise that yogurt wouldn't be so beneficial.
And well, that makes sense from a practical standpoint, from fermentation process that occurs when you make yogurt. The organisms living there, they will use lactose first. That's their primary food source, and they will deplete the lactose in that dairy product, and then they go after actually the fats. So in that processing of fats, that probably is where you get modulation of the surfactants. The casein will be the last. The casein is the protein of the milk.
Yeah.
That will be probably the last thing they can touch, because it's already actually it's usually encapsulated. So it might be harder even to reach because it's coagulated. It's just in a colloidal form. So I'm just applying logic here, but the thing is that there's no guarantee that even if you're getting organic, grass-fed, even raw milk, or if you're getting the mild pasteurization type of milk, it's still you're going to get all these things in contact with these surfactants. It's not practical for the dairy industry and many other industries to clean their vessels, their tubs. They have these huge tubs. If you ever been in a dairy factory, all the milk arrives and it lands into these massive tubs where it gets first heated, and that, depending on the pasteurization process, they will be heating the milk differently, and then sits there. They add the cultures, they add the buffers, etc., and that's how they start making either yogurt, or they will start making cheese. Depends on what you're going to make. But those things, they need to be washed, because the milk gets putrid. I mean, anyone that spilled milk in the car, that's it.
No.
It's gone. It's just
Yeah.
it's so hard to wash it out from any surface. So they use these surfactants to clean those vessels, and that's the problem. That is pretty much the standard for every piece of the process, from the containers where they bring the milk to this again, these huge tubs they use, all the piping, all the floors, all the flooring, everything needs to be clean, and they used for that purpose very strong surfactants.
And that would be the same really for any liquid product that's coming out of a large factory. So, you know, I was wondering about it for coconut milk as well, because I'm sure the coconut milk is also coming out of a large factory. But
anything that's fatty, pretty much, they need to use something with surfactants. Let me share my screen quickly, and I want to see if we can you see my screen?
Yes. Okay.
So these are the DetoxU products for whoever didn't know them. So what we did here is that this is something that I came with. I work about on these products and this rationale throughout my realization that everyone was getting toxins on a daily basis, that they were critical for fixing the microbiome, to take care of this toxicity exposure and reducing the toxicological burden out of the body. Also, when I came to realize that the process needs to be simplified in order to become compliant. Because when I was practicing, which I didn't, I didn't like this system, but while I was practicing, the massive amount of bottles I had to use from different companies in order to get things done, the pricing was huge also. These protocols are not cheap, but let's say, for example, you want to get this done with any other company in the market, mostly. You want to use these products twice daily and get all the comprehensive approach and use them for a full month. I mean, like for 7 days a week, and not 5, just not going shy with the days that you're using the products or the amount of times you're taking these products on a daily basis, so they make sense. They actually protect you. With all things considered, you're looking at the base price of maybe $350, $400 for $400 in products a month, and that will be the starting price point.
Right.
I'm trying to make this a sales pitch. I'm telling you what was the problem I was seeing on a daily basis. That
I know, because I have a household full of supplements in trying to help John detoxify things over the years and trying different things, and you know how much we spent on so many different products trying to hone in on what we needed to do.
It's so much money, and also the complexity. Everyone is busy, and everyone needs to stop their routine for taking the products and time them in a specific form. And again, all those things were bothering me. So I had the chance of was a gift for me, because it was there were 2 people that were dealing with their health issues that were also very health conscious, and they have the means to support and finance this project. So they asked me, well, what you will do differently if I give you an ample freedom of using and getting things done, what will be your way? And this is my way. This is what I came to realize. First, that what we are trained or we are told to in terms of how things they're meant to be done is not true. This doesn't need to be complex in order to be effective. We're told that many bottles, they will do a lot of good things for us. Less bottles, less benefits for us. That's not true at all. And you know that, Martha, from the probiotic standpoint. You can get a lot of things done with just one product.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens here. If you see a capsule content or a liquid product, and how much of a filler is included in a certain product, it's massive sometimes, and you're wasting space. Why? Because then you have a chance of adding another product, another product, another product, and that doesn't pay off for compliance. So I'm not a huge fan of capsules, and neither of remembering things throughout my day. I'm a terrible patient. Um, uh, I say this very frequently. I won't be able to follow even the same things I was recommending to other people, and I'm very open to say that, because that came to me as another challenge in order to make something that I would be compliant with. That I can't ask anyone else to do something I'm not even able to do. It's very unfair. So, and again, with that complexity, all these protocols, they still work. They're really good. Some of them, they get things done. They take care of the toxicity burden. That's fine. But the compliance and the comprehensiveness was missing. So what I did is I came back to the sketchboard, and we look at the detoxification phases, and we start looking at the steps that are included in each phase. And we see that there's a lot of overlap, and there's a lot of benefits from certain herbs and botanicals to support all these phases all together. Then the dosing came to the equation, and a lot of people were saying, oh, but you have to put so much of something to make it work. Another fallacy. Our receptors are very sensitive. Actually, the opposite. If you put too much of something, you might desensitize your receptors. I am speculating that the pill fatigue and the massive amount of supplements we're taking on a daily basis might be creating a certain deal with the desensitization of these receptors, that now you need more dosages to get things done, because you're so overwhelmed with these inputs from different products, different nutrients, etc. So with that in mind, I thought, okay, well, maybe we don't need much. And I went to the literature, and in the literature, what you see is that, yes, if you want to measure outcomes in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, yes, you need a massive amount. But when you extend the usage, then you need only as much of each ingredient to activate those receptors to become optimized in their functionality and get things done with more with improving performance. With that in mind, I again restructured this whole paradigm, and then we start looking at the filtration system on the liver level, which I showed here. Bile is here. I want to touch that in a minute. And then renal excretion and our genetic input internally, how we produce on our own antioxidant response elements, how we activate this massive pathway, which is the NRF2 pathway, which is our backup system to protect our cells when needed. And with those things, all things considered, I start putting together all these different ingredients and choosing the best candidates. Actually, I joke around the fact that I did some auditions. So I was casting ingredients and saying, okay, who are you, what do you do, how you can help me with this process, and how many things you can cover at the same time. And when I look at those overlaps, then I start simplifying the formula to make it worth for the entire process without having to use so many products and adding so many capsules in the dosage. So all these things I'm summarizing here is that we were able to make one product that is called the remover, which controls the phase 1 activation, phase 2 activates all these conjugation pathways, which people are unfortunately commonly challenged, improves bile, kidney filtration, and also supports the mitochondria function. All that together, all things all together supported with one product only. And I still need to talk about this and train people a lot about this. The fact that, again, we are following guidelines that were created by certain companies X amount of years ago, and they told us that this is how things are done, and there's no other way. And as you know, Martha, and all of you probably know in a certain level, paradigms are changing all the time, and just need someone that is curious and contradicts or questions what's going on and how things are being done to come with a better solution. And again, that solution might get some resistance because everyone needs to retrain their mindset in how things are done. And when we accept that this is a better way, then we can make it a standard. Now I hope everyone, like in the market, in the industry, will start working around compliance and simplicity. So we added a second product, which is called the binder, because this is the part that gets very interesting and is connected to the bile part. When bile is flushed, and that's the main issue with also chelators, EDTA and DMSA and all these other things are used commonly. When bile is flushed, you get those toxins in the duodenum, and now the microbiome is getting exposed to those. Now your gut lining is getting exposed to those, and you have a recycling system for bile acids to come back to the liver, and that also can get those toxins back to the circulation and then going back to be processed in the liver once more, which of course is a waste of resources and creates more damage than good. So all this effort you put on your liver and your kidneys and everything else related to the excretion part, sorry, the processing part, needs to pay off when you're excreting these toxins, and that needs to become efficient. That's when we realize also we need to put some binders in the equation. And which ones? Well, as many as you can, because here's the paradigm. You don't know how many things are recirculating in your body all the time. You don't know which type of toxins you're dealing with. You can measure some of them with a hair analysis or a blood analysis or a urine analysis, but that gives you a fraction of the total exposure. Nothing is unfortunately perfect when it comes to testing of toxins. There's so many things that we miss, and that applies to probably every testing in the world. Nothing is 100% accurate. But when it comes to toxins, toxins are pretty sneaky. So I don't want to take chances. I want to grab as many toxins as possible when they're flushed into my intestines. I don't want to decide, okay, I'm going to focus on these guys or those guys. Doesn't make sense. Let's grab them all. Yeah. And we have mechanisms for getting those things done. So that's where we created the binder. And we added certain support for the integrity of the gut lining, and we added some cofactor support. So your body, while we're mobilizing these things out, also it's able to protect itself. And we prevent reabsorption, and we prevent the very bad scenario, which will be that you bring those toxins back to the circulation. And again, you have to deal with them once more, which, by the way, in certain toxins and certain molecules or compounds, like, for example, hormones, let's mention estrogen as an example. When you recycle something that was eliminated already and it didn't leave the body and came back, it usually comes back more damaging than it was before. So the parent compound that you were processing and trying to eliminate out of the body, if it doesn't leave the body, when it comes back, because of this back and forth in the processing of that molecule, makes the molecule more damaging. So that missed chance, it can be really bad for your physiology. So again, we don't take chances here. I was going to mention quickly, when you use EDTA or other chelators, they can bound to toxins, but they don't support the kidney and the liver function, and they don't take care of the last part of the puzzle, which is the elimination through the intestinal tract or the kidney filtration system. And if they accomplish that part, still, the burden they put in these structures is so high that it really doesn't pay off. You can get this done efficiently with mineral binders, which are way more gentler, and without all the side effects you get from these harsh chelators. I don't like them. I don't use them. I was trained to use them. I did some IV chelation therapies in the past. I don't really think that's the right approach. They will look good on paper because it flashes so many things at a time that if you test before and after, it gives you this moment of clarity and this measurement that drops dramatically before and after, but doesn't really sustain the reduction of toxins on a long-term basis. That's where you get really the benefits. When you reduce the toxins, they stay low, and now your body, without those blocking agents, these damaging agents in the mix, it can heal. You can fix the pathways, you can improve your functionality, you can regain optimization of your physiological pathways. So this is the safety net we talk about. And so both products combined, they do a lot of heavy lifting in terms of removing toxins. The binder has all these different minerals, and then you have also the additional cofactors with aloe and shilajit and molybdenum, which are supporting your gut lining, activating pathways more efficiently, etc. So it's a very well-rounded protocol. Now we have some focus products, 3 in total. When you know your toxic burden and when you know that there's something that is triggering you the most, then you can become a little bit more proactive and add one of these focus products into the general detox bundle that I mentioned before. So it makes it more comprehensive, more specific to a certain group of toxins. That's when needed. And I'm happy to have these guys because these products are actually helping with some of the common challenges for certain types of toxins, like, for example, mercury and lead with heavy metals, or, for example, with the organophosphates, glyphosate, for example, with the industrial focus. This is huge for glyphosate. It's a great product for glyphosate. I have a good amount of evidence how supports glyphosate reduction, but also airborne pollutants. When someone lives in LA, New York, or any other big city, or you live nearby a golf course, or you live nearby a farm that is not doing, unfortunately, organic farming, these airborne pollutants or other chemicals are going to get through the lungs, not only through the digestive system. And those airborne pollutants are getting right away into the circulation, because that's a very immediate system for getting molecules from the environment into your bloodstream. When you support your lung mucosa, you protect your lungs, and you are able to cope and grab this molecule and send them out by coughing. All this mucus grabs and these toxins and can actually keep them in place. Then you can cough them out so they don't get into your circulatory system. And that's another feature we cover here. And the mold is a microbial balancing element. And I've seen the beauty between pairing microbial support with microbiome support products, probiotics especially, and using mold focus, because the mold focus doesn't destroy diversity. What it does is gives room for your microbiome to get rebalanced with the proper input that you're receiving from a probiotic. That's the beautiful part that aligns with the diversity balancing protocol, not just killing things massively and try to recover something afterwards. And that is not really a great scenario in terms of microbial support, which I've seen that a lot. A lot of people are feeling tempted of sending antimicrobials all the way into the gut, and then when they destroy pretty much everything, okay, let's see how much we can rebuild from there. And unfortunately, it doesn't really work that well. And Martha can speak about this way more than I can. But the cellular detox matrix is the last thing I want to mention. has these 3 ingredients, alpha lipoic acid and phosphatidylcholine and PQQ. These ingredients are the mitochondrial support part. This is the part that really works when it comes to supporting your cells, because the cells are doing all these tasks when you're detoxifying. So it makes sense that you want to support them. I wanted to get into this slide. This is the last one, and then we can jump back into the conversation. But this is something I did. I made this diagram, and with the sole purpose, not confused, because there's a lot of content here, but the sole purpose of this diagram is to just give an example of how integrated and complex pathways are within your detoxification system and your GI system. So you can't really think that with a few or a handful of ingredients and a little bit of good luck, you're going to get everything done in terms of supporting these pathways. You need to go comprehensive. That's the only way you can actually interconnect and check and support every single step of the process, so you get the optimization that you're looking for. And with that in mind, the microbiome here, as you can see, is receiving a lot of inputs, but I don't have enough space in the screen. If I have to send arrows to show how the microbiome sends inputs back to all these organs and the rest of the body, it will look like a dark screen. We'll have no room for any more arrows in the mix. So that's what I'm thinking. Give me 1 second here. Hello? Sorry. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, this thing was moving. So yes, the amount of support you need makes sense from detoxification pathways. But again, when you support your microbiome, the amount of signals you send all over the place in your physiology, it's again even bigger. So if this seems to be a little bit complex, you can't even imagine the amount of signals you get from the microbiome. But when you support the system, you're supporting one of the critical pieces for your microbiome to stay healthy, which is the environmental settings, the environment where these microbes are living. You're supporting pH, you're supporting oxygen, you're supporting nutrient availability, you're supporting all these elements that will dictate the growth patterns of your microbes. That is the critical piece. That is the most important piece to keep in mind, that detoxification is critical for microbiome health. This information, you can't find it. I will. Sorry, man. You can't. I'm wrong. You can find this. This is part of my. This is part of my latest webinar, and so it's uploaded on YouTube. If you go to the DetoxU channel, you will find this whole presentation with these slides, and we're doing some makeover on the website. So we will be uploading the slides so everyone can download them and use them as they want in the near future. We're not doing this yet because it doesn't make sense. We're going to change the whole website in a few weeks. So it will be more comprehensive. We'll have more information even, and it will also allow people to understand the usage of the products, I think, much better. So that's the whole idea. Oh, you found it. Oh, good. Thank you. You're fast, Martha. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So one of the questions is, how long should the products be taken? And that, that's also it's a question that I get a lot of times about sugar shift, or or any of our probiotics. And I like to think that you can take something and solve your problem and move on. I do think in today's world, it's maybe not that simple, and you probably have to be rotating periodically. So, and I'll just say from a personal standpoint, so I did an oligo scan in December, which showed I had some heavy metals, and but I went through the general detox protocol first, And I was really pleased with it because it's very gentle, but you definitely know that it's working because you're having a great balance every morning. Like, the waste is getting out of your body, just no doubt about that. And so then I started the heavy metals. So I do have a question for you about that, because I think you had said, you need to take more minerals. So I was curious if you had a recommendation on, what minerals you recommend for people, because that's also an area, difficult to find. And I've been working with a nutritionist who does custom blends of minerals for people, but it's hard to find somebody to do that. And she's been working on it for several months, and she has to, then go to a specialty place to get it done. So, anyway, so I'm curious about what you recommend on taking additional minerals when you are doing the heavy metals, or if you're doing those binders every day, are you also pulling out minerals? And then also, I was glad to see that you had the molybdenum in there, because I was just on a call this week with a group of farming people talking about glyphosate.
Mhm.
And one of them was a veterinarian, and he was talking about what's happening with the pigs. He works in Iowa, where they have a lot of these pig operations, and the pigs are anemic because there's no molybdenum. I can't pronounce that right, because it's bound by glyphosate. And he said you can tell, like, they're supposed to be pink and they're white. So anyway, I digress, but maybe you can answer those questions.
Yeah, I can try. No, the hydration part. Hydration is, for me, the acquisition of minerals for and liquid for balancing our ECM, our extracellular matrix, and our internal compartments inside the cells. That needs to be balanced. That we are, at the end of the day, we function in a large scale as a battery. So you need minerals, but you need the vehicle to get these minerals everywhere. So where you want to get the minerals at, you want to get these minerals in your ECM, on these structures around every single cell of your body. And this is kind of like a gel-like structure. It's not really fluid. If not, we will be like a blob. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
your glycocalyx.
Yes, exactly. So it is critical. We are dehydrating ourselves a lot. And so we're losing more minerals than we can ever even consider. But one of the most dehydrating elements we have nowadays are some of these chemicals that they have chelating properties. A binder, and mineral binder, for example, like the DetoxU products binder, has also molecules that will capture minerals. So people ask me all the time, well, what do you do? Because you're dehydrating yourself by taking this binder. And I always reply with this: yes, but I know when I'm doing this intentionally. I'm timing the intake of these products. So now I can come with a plan B or plan A, actually, and compensate, regain those minerals that I'm losing. And I will go back to how I like to do that, at least on a personal level, in a minute. But when you have high levels of toxins, there's no controlling mechanism. You're just wasting nutrients all day long without any supervision whatsoever. It's happening without any agreement on your end. So I prefer to take the risk and lowering a little bit my nutrients. Is not so significant. If not, you will feel it, and you won't feel it as much. But some people can report mild headaches and some other patterns of dehydration, because they were not even adjusted to hydrate properly in the first place. Probably they were dehydrated from the beginning, and then they need to just catch up with their hydration process. How you do this? Well, most of the good quality salts, they do have 80 something minerals in average, that they're the essential minerals you need for replenishing your mineral content. The thing is that we usually take them with water, which it's on its own dehydrating. So with that in mind, the water needs to align with the minerals you're using.
So explain what you mean by water is dehydrating.
Yes. Okay. So the water also has its own isotonic properties. It has its own mineral structure. So when you buy some bottle of mineral water, you can see, oh, this is the mineral content we have here. So there's two pieces of this equation. I'm trying to not make it so complex, but it is a little bit complex on its own.
Yeah.
So when you add minerals to your water will grab and structure itself
around the minerals,
around those minerals. And also this water needs to donate these minerals to your body. Some waters are so depleted that they will grab the minerals and they will not release them. It's just going to make it even for them, but not really worthwhile for us. Now, there's also some filtering systems we have in place. First and foremost, the gut. This huge piece where we absorb and we exchange liquids and other nutrients, including minerals. Then we have the kidneys. The kidneys is the biggest piece of the puzzle. So in the proximal tubule, that's when you do all these exchanges with your fluids and your minerals, and all the toxins we have in the environment. Also, they affect the filtration process. It's another piece of the puzzle. If your kidneys are not in a good place, that might not be that efficient. And we all think we are in a good place because when you go to your regular doctor, you get tested maybe for 2 markers for evaluating your kidney status. That's way short in the evaluation that is needed to understand how your kidneys are performing. Most people, because of the overwhelming exposure to pesticides and herbicides, they're struggling with their kidney status. So when it comes to hydrating yourself, first and foremost, use a clean salt. There's multiple resources online of salts that are clean, that they have a good mineral profile, and you can just add those in your water. And then the second thing that you should do is, at the very least, shake that water for a few seconds, I will say, hopefully a minute. Spin it. If you have a spinner, like the one from, what's the name of the company? I can't remember. But
I had a glass spinner, but I dropped it on the floor and it broke. I need to order another one.
Usually with glass, but it was glass. You prove it. But there's some glass bottles that they spin the water for you. That spinning process, what it does is activates the natural state, the natural structure of the water to become reactive and be able not only to accept these minerals, but to also donate these minerals. Because now it becomes interactive with your own physiology. Can we use it further? That's what I'm saying. Like, that will be the basic, the starting point, like the entry level of this process. But
I mean, because that vortex is the water. That would probably,
You can take this in a more fancy level, but honestly, you just need to move that water. When, for centuries, for millennia, you always drank water that came from a well, that was bringing water that was in motion, never water that was still. Still water was poisonous, was toxic. Nobody will touch it. Nobody goes to a swamp to drink water. Nowadays, we drink not only plastic-filled and chemical-filled water, usually very low in minerals because we're taking them out. So that's also processed water, but also it's a still water. Like the name still water is really true to every element of that water. That water has been sitting there, not in movement. That absolutely changes the molecular structure of the water in terms of their biological properties. So what I do is I grab some Celtic salt, I know it has been demonized lately. I'm not really that certain on that analysis, but or grab some. I'm trying to remember the names of the salts I use. I use some Italian salt. Then you will spend $6-8 in a kilo of that salt. But it makes sense. It lasts for a long time. That's same price that you will pay for your coffee in any coffee shop.
I have lots of salt. So I have this red salt. I have Indian black calamine. This has a lot of sulfur in it.
Okay, whatever I was going to say, Martha took it to the next level.
I have that is a
flaky sea salt.
But I have Jacobson. So I've gone through and looked at
the one I use. That's the one I use.
Jacobson is supposed to be one of the cleanest salts.
Yes, that's the one I use. It's Italian salt.
I have this one too. I think from France.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. Actually, I don't remember where I was shopping.
And I have Redmond's, but I think Redmond's has too much iron in it.
Yeah, Redmond is somehow processed. I wouldn't swear by with Redmond, but the Jacobson is a good one. But Le Vaillon, which is a French one, that also is a good one. I like it. The source dictates the cleanness of the salt. The pink salt is a little bit tricky because it's obtained from some sources that are questionable in terms of their cleanness. So there's some pink Himalayan salt. It's fantastic.
That's probably not Himalayan. It's probably dyed pink.
Yes, exactly. Dyed pink or from Pakistan, and they're digging that thing from really like with mixed of all the other stuff that you don't want in your mouth anyway. So I'm a little bit iffy with the pink salt nowadays. Jacobson has a good mineral profile. Put that in your water, spin it, and drink it, especially in the morning. You need to hydrate at the first time of the day, ideally. If you have a dog, whoever has a dog, and you see a dog in the morning, the first thing that dog does is goes and drinks some water. That's not like random. Every animal in nature will look for water first, then food. First water.
That's what I do. First thing every morning I get up, I drink a glass of water, and then sometimes I do the warm water with a pinch of salt, but I have my water swirling around with minerals in it already. So that's what I drink when I get up in the morning.
I like to add even lemon if you want to be intentional with your drainage pathways. Citrus in general are really good drainers. They flush a lot of toxins. Actually, a lot of people get a bowel movement after drinking lemon water. Yeah, water with lemon and minerals. It's pretty common because it also makes a little bit of a flush on the bile pathways. You ask me, bile is it's a terrain regulating agent. It's way more than just something produced for emulsifying fats, which is true. But bile has so many other roles because this area, the small bowel, the duodenum especially, but everything else, it's very sensitive, and we need to keep that environment under control. When you go above a certain growth rate in your bacteria living there, more than 10 elevated to the 4, elevated to the 5 max CFUs per deciliter, you go with these patterns of over fermentation, and they become quite inflammatory. Who is controlling the growth patterns of these bacteria and the growth rates of these bacteria? Bile. Bile has microbial modulating properties. Everyone that's dealing with SIBO, SIFO, or anything around this bacterial overgrowth problems, they have a problem with their flow of bile initially. And at the same time, most typically, another issue is the stomach acid production, which is a massive barrier because this tube is all connected. There's no break between your mouth and your anus. From an anatomical standpoint, this is a huge, large tube with more expanded areas, with more narrow areas, different types of epithelium, but still, it's a long tube. But you have these barriers in place, so they prevent transcolonization from one place to another. One of the main filters you have is your stomach acid. And that is vastly underproduced. Why? Again, because you can't keep up with the production of stomach acid if your mitochondria are toxic. And that's where things are getting connected. You have toxicity, you can function and operate in your organ functionality level. You can't do that, you can't keep the passage of microbes from the outside controlled or from your mouth. You can't give the terrain conditions needed to your microbes in the intestines because you're not producing enough bile. You're not producing pancreatic enzymes in sufficient amounts that are needed for breaking down foods that are going to be used in some amounts by your microbes. So now you start depleting the food sources. What these guys are going to do, they're going to find something else. They're going to go after the sugars. They're going to go after other nutrients, fats and proteins in the small bowel. They will grow there because they are using more of those nutrients than the ones that you can use in the colon. You lose fermentation capabilities. Then you increase the oxygen levels in the colon because you're not fermenting as much. Remember, your colon is a pickle jar. If you don't ferment, you increase the oxygen. What happens every time you make pickles? I don't know if someone makes pickles. I do. And you put the pickles inside the water, the salt, and then you close the lid. A few days after, it's vacuum sealed because the fermentation process that is occurring inside the jar used all the oxygen. And it doesn't bring oxygen back to the environment. Same happens in your colon. And that's how you sustain famous microbes' lives, like Akkermansia muciniphila, which is a strict anaerobic bacteria, and many others that they need very low oxygen levels.
Bifidobacteria.
Bifidobacteria, huge, especially with COVID. Well, that's another conversation. Don't get me started there.
And that's actually one of the things that Sugar Shift does, is it restores that anaerobic gut environment. So that from our clinical trial, it showed that it removed, it's basically sucking the oxygen out. And
that's huge. So imagine if you put both systems together, the organ functionality and the microbial support, you get 10 times more efficiency because you're supporting the input for these probiotics to become even more efficient. Imagine they're efficient already, even with all these modern challenges. So imagine if you take out these challenges for a minute or reduce them in large amounts. The possibilities are endless. They're huge. That's why, again, I think that there's a lot of synergism between probiotics, microbiome protocols, and detoxification protocols, because at the end of the day, detoxification protocols are not just eliminating toxins, the good ones. They're organ support protocols, that they're improving your own body's capability to reduce toxins inside. So yeah, be mindful about your bile. Bitters, they're so important. That's another thing I love.
So the stomach acid was really interesting. There's something I was reading earlier this week, and it was talking about the pH of different animals, and humans had the lowest stomach pH. I think it was 2.5. Is that what like a very acidic stomach pH? But this person was hypothesizing that, the human stomach pH that we have was basically designed or evolved to that pH because before we had refrigerators and cooking and all of that, like we needed to have like a major killing field for all the pathogens from, if we're eating, sort of
Yeah.
rotten meat or,
Yeah.
something that hasn't been sitting in a refrigerator, we have to have a mechanism to kill that. And actually Al Zapp, who was the founder of Thorne Nutraceuticals and now Tesseract,
Mhm.
he sent me a paper years ago from the 1940s where they were showing that the connection to the microbiome and dementia with Clostridia and the connection to lack of stomach acid and the declining stomach acid. So I did have somebody else who, I can't remember who it was, that so a lot of people will take betaine HCl as
Mm.
a sort of alternative to stomach acid, but I had somebody else tell me that's not a good idea because that actually stops you from making your own stomach acid. And so that's why things like the bitters or even taking apple cider vinegar or something before where or putting vinegar on your salad is going to help your body make its own acid as opposed to taking an external source. So
Yeah, the support can work for a certain amount of time, but remember your body's talking internally with
right.
every single place that lives there. So there, the biofeedback is huge, and if you compensate too much, which might be needed in some cases, but if you
Yeah.
compensate too much, then you might block something else.
Yeah.
And that is something that I'm profoundly concerned because the industry, I'm talking about the natural medicine or
Yeah.
supplement industry, lately started this race of compensation.
Right.
As the ultimate solution, and well, the best example is GLP-1s agonists. But then you see other things in terms of peptides used for the same purpose, and so on and so forth. There's so many things we're using for just coping with whatever is deficient that we might be producing in a certain amount. I understand the challenges also, again, coming back to the toxic conversation, are creating these deficiencies, and there might be a certain processing, internal processing that needs to be done that will take some time in order to regain those abilities. And that's why when we put together the protocol, we thought, okay, for how long? And I came with my own experience, seeing hundreds of people on the practice. And I said to everyone, I want this protocol to be used for 6 months.
Yeah.
The very minimum 3 months, but ideally 6 months. And they were like, oh, that's quite long. I said, no, it's not long, because what happens is that if you use it for 3 months on paper, you're going to look amazing. Because the reduction, usually the most dramatic reduction of toxins, if you test before and
First
after,
3 months.
the first 3 months, you see huge reduction.
Huge.
But you need to sustain those reduced levels. That's the only way that you give your body room for healing. How you're going to clear those senescent cells, regain mitochondrial performance, you're going to improve the healing of the liver and kidneys and all these beautiful structures, if now they're going to go back to dealing with all these toxins 3 months after. You need to sustain that level for longer.
Well, and then, when I talk to people about sugar shift too, is, you didn't get in this state of a problem with your gut or your toxin load or whatever overnight. It built up over time. And so, you're not going to solve it with a pill in 1 week or, even like the process of lowering the toxic burden and restoring the terrain, which is your gut is a huge part of that. That takes time, and it takes, like you said, conscious intention.
Yeah.
And I see we have some questions here, or I have one question. Can we take a question?
All the questions you want.
Okay, Karen, it's good to
Um,
see you, Karen.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. But once again, I'm overwhelmed by this, and I feel myself just being overwhelmed to the point of total frustration. I'm not really sure what to do with all this information because in my world, the normal world, there are all kinds of people walking around who don't care about any of this stuff, and they seem to be doing just fine. So I guess what I'm wondering is that I guess I wish you would address practically what are we talking about here?
Mhm.
If I ordered the product, what kind of supply am I getting? Is it 1 month? Is it half a month? Is it 3 months? And how do I know it's working? Well, am I going to have bowel movements more often, or am I going to have headaches, or how am I supposed to know? And how am I supposed to know that your formula even works for me if it's like one general formula? And I guess there's a presumption on the part from this formula that everyone's having the same issues, when I don't think that's true. So I mean, to me, it's like, I don't know that I want to jump on this train because even at 6 months, I think the price is reasonable, but it's still way expensive. It's very expensive.
Yeah,
For 6 months.
Yeah.
So why should I jump on this train?
Good question. First and foremost, I don't want to sell anything. I mean, good if I do, but it's not my main intention of being here. But you have some very good clinical questions here. First and foremost, I did start this because I wanted to help people healing in a profound level, and you can't really do that when you have toxins in the way. When you mentioned the seeing people out there walking around feeling apparently great and getting exposed to all these toxins, or even intentionally using things that are going to add toxins to their bodies. Well, that's the same question I get over and over. Why me? Why not these other people that are lining up in McDonald's and they seem to be fine? Well, first and foremost, these guys are silent killers. They're silent disruptors. They don't create very straightforward symptoms. Some people, they get more sensitive than others. And there's a couple of reasons why. It might be a little bit too long as an answer, but I will try to explain very briefly. Some people, they have some accumulated burdens that we don't even know, because by the time we're born, there's a passage of genes from our parents that they might have being exposed to some toxins, and they create the SNPs. This is adaptation. We know toxins create transgenerational epigenetic expression. Second thing is that the microbiome, when it gets disrupted, becomes, as I said before, an ally or a foe in the detoxification process. That's why you see kids getting exposed to the same things. Not all of them, they develop spectrum disorders. But the ones they do, what we know is that their microbiome was way
That's
more
right.
affected, disrupted than others. And that is a baseline you never get measured in the beginning. So, and then it starts progressing, and at the same time, you get exposed to all these other factors. So it is a matter of accumulation over time. So what you're dealing today might not be the full extent of the problem. There might be something from your early past that it was dictating how things are going to be adjusted for you today. And that applies to me and applies to everyone else. I developed an autoimmune when I was 30 because I was breathing mercury like crazy. And I thought I was smart, and I wasn't, because I was removing mercury fillings with a drill and using a silly mask, thinking that's going to be protective enough. And it took me 10 years to understand that it was killing me slowly. But it developed an autoimmune that nobody connects the dots in terms of toxicity. It's like, no, this is an autoimmune. It's your genes. It's your immune system expressing itself, and in the wrong way, and there's no really explanation about this. I did the connection later. So the protocol itself, why it would work for you and the person next to you and another person in a different state, because we all have the same pathways. So when we use nature, this was something that we acquire over evolution. These receptors we have in the cells, and I like this conversation because it brings something that it was an aha moment for me. Like we talk so lightly about, we speak so lightly about turmeric and other botanicals, and we use the mint, let's say, for example, spearmint, and we say, oh yes, this improves digestion, this helps you with inflammation. But wait a minute, these are plants. What they have to do with my biology, how my cells are able to read the molecules within these plants and get something done accordingly to the exposure. And that was like, well, we are connected. Our cells we're learning for thousands of years to get things done by proper stimulus, which in this case comes from nature. And that's beautiful in that sense, but also allows us to get empowered in using these natural elements to optimize common pathways. You have the same pathways that I have and that everyone else has for moving, modulating, and excreting toxins. So if we know which pathways we're dealing with, we're using, and we know which elements can optimize their functionality, then you have a plan. And that plan, again, applies to everyone. Some people might need an extra level of support. That's why we created the focus products. If you want to be more intentional, and yes, there are some ways you can test for toxins. They're way expensive. I'm coming with a test, hopefully by the second half of the year, that will be priced reasonably, because I think everyone deserves to see what they're getting exposed to. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people are not going to love me for this, but I don't mind. I just want to get things done. I want to bring something that is useful for everyone to become proactive. Price point, yes, it's not the cheapest product in the market. But this is the part that I have to explain myself, but I understand why. I could put 8 products side by side and make the same product. If I make this product and split these ingredients into 8 products, and I charge $199 for those 8 products, you will tell me, oh, that's cheap. That's kind of like $20 a bottle. That seems reasonable. The technology and the effort that I have to put together to put all this massive amount of ingredients into 2 products only, that's the price you're paying for. Is all the development and the manufacturing of a product that in only 2 bottles with 4 capsules in total, it gives you the same support that any other company will offer you with 8 products or 6 bottles of worthwhile products, which, by the way, usually they cost more than these 2 bottles only. And if you look at the competition, and I'm not trying to talk bad about them because they do work and they have an amazing job, and I use them and I like them. We're friends actually with many of the founders of the other companies. But if you try to mimic what we offer, it will cost you probably twice as much at the very least.
I don't think the price is unreasonable. I'm just saying that cumulatively,
Oh,
I mean, like, $300 over 6 months, that's almost $2,000. A lot of people, even though I think what you're saying is reasonable and the price is reasonable, it's still out of reach for many people.
I know.
It just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I know. I would be able to do it cheaper, but then I will have to have a non-profit and get someone that mounts this project with our revenue,
Well, maybe we can do that at some point.
One day, hopefully. We would love to grow enough that we can do more than what we're doing right now, and we're trying to do a lot because we're trying to be competitive. We're trying to bring analyses which are quite novel and price them as low as we can, that it makes sense stay alive as a business. We use glass bottles, for example. Well, we're paying more money for using glass bottles. Well,
Same here.
yeah, they mark that. Why we're not using plastic? Because you don't want plastic in your capsules. We use amber to protect the integrity of the ingredients, and so on and so forth. There's so many things.
That all makes sense. But I guess the reason I'm asking these questions is that I went to the website and couldn't find the answers. But if I bought the initial bottles, the two, is that a month supply? Is it, what is it?
So we offer single purchase of a subscription. Subscription gives you a certain discount in the first order, and
I think mine lasted longer than a month, but that could be because I'm not the most compliant person.
the
but,
first order
usually
usually lasts longer.
Okay, because so the other question I had, because in the initial packaging it also says you may want to start slowly, because it says to take it, you're taking it twice a day, and we say this with Sugar Shift also, that instead of taking it twice a day, start out once a day and see how you feel. So I guess, part of my question is, if someone bought the product and took it once a day or every other day, it's still going to be detoxifying. So if somebody on a budget wanted to take it every other day, they could do every other day and still be pulling the toxins out, just making it a little more cost effective for themselves, right?
Sure. It works every single time you take it. So this is just the effectivity. Actually, it's the compounded effect of taking this
every day
for X amount of time. But it doesn't need to build up
to work
over time to work. So if you take it today and then you don't take it tomorrow and you take it today, it will work every single time you take the product.
I have somebody asking if you'll give a family discount for somebody who would be buying for 3 people. I didn't think we were going to be like talking sales, but hey, I mean, I'm happy to support you.
Let's do something. Let me do something. I didn't came prepared for this, honestly, but I will ask my sales manager. I'm so into my scientific research and development that I don't even do this directly. But what I can do is I can ask for a discount for all this group today, a little extra discount, so you can get an incentive for being here and for listening to me and have the patience of listening to me and trying to go through my accent, even all these other challenges. No, but as a token of appreciation, I will definitely will get that done. Just let me. I need to create that. I didn't create it in advance. And so
we can put it in we'll put it in. We send out the replay of this and we'll put it in there.
Okay. Yeah, we can share it if you have a email list. You don't mind. I will share it with you. But with that said, the usage of the products is ideally twice daily, but I never recommend starting with twice daily for the first week. Some people will do good staying on once daily dosage. Some people, again, they will have to cut the dosage down to a quarter, or maybe take it every other day. Even though they're developed to be very mild in the approach, depending on the burden and the internal challenges and what's your baseline, it might need an extra time to build tolerance. And it doesn't mean that you have to stop them. You just need to stay low in the potency for an extra amount of time. If you opt for a subscription, for example, and you decided to change the dosage and you don't want the next bottle to arrive, you can manage your subscription. You just go to your account and cancel it, skip it.
Yeah.
We tell you in advance, hey, these products are coming. So okay, you can cancel.
Yeah.
It's easy.
So I accidentally signed up for both the heavy metal and the general subscription. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I have to. So I gave one of them to my brother, and then I said, okay, I just need to go back to the other subscription. Yeah.
Yeah, this is easy. So you can adjust the base of how you do this protocol. Eventually, if you go slower, it will be even cheaper, which is fine. But if you hit the ideal dosage, it's still giving you a month worth of product, and again, you take care of most of the elements that might be affecting detoxification efficiency. When we get the test, it will be great because then you can see what's actually affecting you the most. But there's so many people that they even enter a moldy house and they know it hits them. It's like a slap in the face. They really know right away that's something that is not good for them. That's the binder. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the binder.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have a question from Gail.
Yeah. Please, Gail.
Hi, Gail. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay, hear you.
Unmute.
There we go. I was hitting the wrong button. I'm technologically challenged. My comment and question is, I've looked at a lot of different detox protocols and worked with a lot of patients who have been on detox protocols. I was in biologic dentistry the last 2 years of my career, and this is very inexpensive in my opinion. Just because I've worked with so many people on this. I think it might be advantageous to talk a little bit about what kind of issues happen when our detox pathways don't work properly, because this, honestly, I believe probably affects every one of us.
Yeah.
And I've been on a health journey for the last 27 years when I was diagnosed with a very serious case of breast cancer and had all the traditional treatment and, like nearly died from it seriously. And so I've been on this for a long, long time. And so I've come to a point of health now that I, enjoy a lot of things, but I'm still having trouble with sleeping, and I can almost tell you for sure that my liver is not detoxifying right in the middle of the night. And so who would think, it's taken a long time to learn all this stuff, but who would think that, oh gosh, that's why I'm being awakened at night. I mean, everybody thinks it's hormonal, which it could be, but there are so many things so many symptoms we can have from blocked detox pathways. And in the toxic environment that we live in right now, I think that we all have to be doing something. I'm not saying it's this, and I'm not even saying it's a pill. I mean, I do lots and lots of detox foods, but and I even do modified citrus pectin every day. And I'm thinking, I might be doing the modified citrus pectin and losing all these metals and then not binding them and taking them out of my body. So is that really helping me? So this is really helpful and informative to me. And I know it's a lot of money, but toxins, in my opinion, and I'm not an expert, but I have been studying health a long time, they are incredibly harmful to us. And, I think I'd love to do a 6-month program and then get off and see, how I'm doing. But I'm pretty excited to sort of hear about this because I've looked at a lot of different ones and even done some of them. And this one, in my opinion, is pretty reasonable, even though it's a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, I understand. Thank you so much for the feedback. I totally understand. Actually, one of the founders of the company is a cancer survivor, and he's very, very well aware of the toxicity factor in these chronic illnesses. Hormones, by the way, they get disrupted by toxins the most. From the estrogen recycling pathways, which are just related to glucuronidation. There's so many things we can talk about. Why the microbes are getting increased and produced by beta-glucuronidase to release those molecules. Why the estrogen becomes more damaging when it's not properly eliminated, because there's some stagnation in the elimination pathways for those estrogen molecules. And you typically, when you're releasing to the system to be eliminated estrogen in the 2-hydroxy or 4-hydroxy form, when it gets recycled, because there's some impairment in your elimination pathways, which is profoundly connected to the microbiome status, then you get back 16-hydroxy, which is extremely inflammatory compared to the other ones. And that will produce cholestasis, which will affect your bile flow. And again, that becomes a vicious circle. So everything is connected. The receptors for hormones are bounded and blocked by multiple toxins, plastics included. That's one of the main blocking agents. I'm going to be doing a webinar, hopefully in the next 6 months, about endocrine disruption and toxins. I have a sequence of webinars I'm doing the next week. It's going to be glyphosate and toxins. Actually, if you want, I can give you the link here.
Yeah, give us a link for that.
Yeah, where to put it? Here's
Also, while you're looking for it, I posted in the chat also a link to Pam, who has been on here sometimes. She's doing a webinar on ozonated glycerin. And so that you can sign up for that OG Pro webinar if you're interested in that also. She's been doing a lot of training of practitioners on how to use the OG. And so that's kind of interesting. So when is this? When is the presentation?
Next week, April 2nd.
April 2nd at what time?
It's for me. It's 5 p.m. Pacific.
5 p.m. California, Pacific. Okay. So
Yes.
You East Coasters, you'll have to stay up late.
It's good time. Still, it's going to be.
And that's on glyphosate?
Glyphosate. We're going to cover pesticides in general, but I mean, we're going to go herbicides and pesticides, but it's more emphatic on the glyphosate part.
Okay, I'm going to have to save that because if I can possibly do it, I want to be on that because I just wrote a piece on my Substack about the executive, that is protecting glyphosate. And I had a meeting this week with a guy who owns a publishing company. He grew up in Iowa, moved away, and then moved back about 3 or 4 years ago. And is, just seeing how damaged the environment is in Iowa and people's health. And, it's the second highest cancer in the country. And so he's trying to work on ways to educate people. And he was asking me a lot of questions about glyphosate. And, it's interesting to me, I guess. I'm shocked every time I talk to people and they don't know what it is. What's glyphosate? It's like,
I know.
Well, you're eating it every day. You're breathing it in the air. It's in your water. And, people don't know what it is. And I mean, it's not just that, because there's lots of other herbicides, but that is the most ubiquitous one in our environment. And it's really shocking to me that people don't know what it is. And then, I still okay, so Gail said she's having trouble sleeping. Well, quality sleep requires the essential amino acid tryptophan, which is only made by microbes or we eat it. Like, we don't make it ourselves. And so, when sleep is disrupted, I immediately think glyphosate.
That's the sleep. It's also, of course, hugely connected to your autonomic nervous system. We often think, we need to retrain our autonomic nervous system in order to fix all these issues. And the reality is that if you are the toxins are talking to your body and sending distress signals, they're sending alert signals, then you put your body in a constant fight or flight mode, because now your body's sensing the danger in a 24/7 basis, and that's it's impossible. You can do all the meditation in the world, and I'm saying this with all the respect because I love meditation and breathing techniques, etc. But you can do all that, and it won't be sustainable. All the improvements, because the signal will be sent over and over to your autonomic nervous system, and it will disrupt the balance of that system once more. So the only way you can really like get the benefits from all these other therapies and practices and lifestyle habits, it's by removing first the toxins which are sending the danger elements into your system. And also indole, which is hugely connected to serotonin and allows you to calm down the system. Indole is one of the major upregulating molecules for your CYP system, which is the enzyme blend we use for activating molecules on phase 1 on the detoxification process, and activates actually 3 of the main enzymes that are used for that part. And if you're using your indole for upregulating your CYP system, there's not going to be much left for balancing all the other mechanisms in terms of your neurotransmitter production. Again, we don't have infinitive resources. So it either goes to one side or the other. And if you have enough, you can send them to both. But if you're overwhelmed by one part of the equation, you don't have enough for the other part. And the body makes decisions like this all the time. And we make the assumption that everything's working and being done in the right way. And that's not always true. And actually, most frequently, it is not true.
Well, so one of the things I have, of course, I have a new Parkinson's paper out. So my big paper is finally out. It's like 50 pages. It's in advances in colloid and surface science, but it's about Parkinson's. But one of the things that I became acutely aware of after John, especially after John had COVID, was, the body is always trying to maintain equilibrium. And, whether it's a toxic burden or all these antioxidants and supplements we're trying to take to fix the system, we are often like swinging the teeter-totter too far in one direction or another. And I have a friend who has a device that measures oxidative stress, but it also measures reductive stress, because what you're talking about is the system is constantly making decisions and trying to maintain that equilibrium. And what I found with John, especially after COVID, was that bandwidth of tolerance had become so narrow that it didn't take much to push him in one direction or another to where he was off balance and having issues. And I think when I think Karen had to leave, but that person that you look at who's walking down the street and maybe looks like they're fine, or maybe they think they're fine, but maybe they have a wider tolerance. But over time, that tolerance starts to narrow. And I was working on a presentation that I'm giving in May, but I was looking at our data on, we did an analysis to try to get a NIH grant years ago, and we analyzed age cohorts of 10 years at a time in our microbiome data. And what we found was happening in as we age, there was a molecule that was blocking the TCA cycle. So it's blocking energy production. And that's probably because it's, doing something else. And then one of the key things that was blocked was a precursor for the production of hyaluronic acid, which is that hydrating molecule in the extracellular matrix, the glycocalyx, that was dropping. And then the last piece that was dropping, the last major marker that was dropping was kind of the cleanup crew that were doing the, detoxification and cleanup of the garbage.
Yeah.
So
Yes, yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
okay, I have 2 more questions, one from Mary and one from Jen.
I have a hard stop at 15 minutes, so
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I just got a notification here, but it's fine. We have still some time. But
Okay, Mary, you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, I'm having a hard time figuring out what question to ask. I'm so confused.
I don't want
So this product that you have is for detoxing heavy metals and anything else?
the general detox opens pathways and binds pretty much every toxin across the board.
Every
Like,
toxin across the board. And
yeah,
you said we didn't need to do testing for heavy metals or any other kind of testing?
I didn't say that. I said
Oh,
that
you
they're
didn't.
really expensive right now.
Yeah, you
That-
said it was expensive.
We're coming with a test to the market in the next half of the year. Unfortunately, it's not ready yet. We redid, like we did with the products. We redid the whole technology. Actually, I will talk to you about that, Martha, in a separate conversation. But we created a system to detect molecules in the urine sample that doesn't exist. I mean, our technology we used the technology that's used for other things in the testing industry, and we combined 2 different technologies to make it a unique type of analysis that increases the sensitivity to a point that it's not practical for any lab to achieve unless they go through a huge processing that takes days for getting the sample not diluted, actually concentrated enough to get that done. So we were able to simplify the process with a different technology, and we were able to actually improve sensitivity by a lot and see things that a lot of people are not seeing. And
Okay.
and that is super exciting.
And
So when you get the information, if you test, you can opt for a focus add-on, which is just another product that makes the bundle a 3-product bundle. Still, you keep the 2 main products. Those are working across the board. They're giving you the safety net for binding toxins. They're working with your liver and your kidneys and all these common pathways. But you add more intentionality for certain piece of the puzzle that we know gets also affected a lot by the exposure of certain toxins that we can get unfortunately in our body. Heavy metals. What we added, as a quick example, in the heavy metal focus product, we added what they're called weak chelators or weak binders, and these are they're basically cilantro and thyme and other botanicals that are known to shake the ECM. So they release these heavy metals that are stored in the tissues, especially fatty tissues in the body, so they can be sent to the circulation where you can process them. Because yes, we make the assumption that these things are going in and out the circulatory system naturally. Some toxins, especially mercury, gets bounded to the fatty tissues so tightly that will cause a localized inflammation without being mobilized and have even a chance to be excreted out of the body. So we need to give them that push, and that push comes with that extra product when needed. Now, if you don't have that mercury issue or lead or arsenic or anything, which is pretty ubiquitous, unfortunately, but if you're not dealing with that in a high level, maybe that's not your priority. You don't need that product right away. If you test and you see that, well, take action. Otherwise, the general detox bundle is just fine, because there's one reality right now that we need to accept. Every single person in the world, it's carrying a toxic level that is substantially higher than any generation before. CDC reports that every American today, regardless of their age and their geographical location, carries an average of 200 chemicals in their bloodstream. These chemicals are synthetic mostly. The body never encountered these chemicals before. There's no real acquired information from previous generations of what to do with these chemicals. These are Frankenstein molecules. So there's a huge chance they're not going to be processed in the way they're supposed to. And the collateral damage is huge. When people are taking multivitamins and taking a lot of other supplements, and they have their countertops stocked with supplements, and I look at the countertops, and there I don't see any detoxification support. It's like, this is money in the drainage. If you're not detoxifying first, then you're not really doing anything.
You're not going to be able to absorb.
No.
I just stuck this up here. I don't, if you can see this, this is my oligo scan. And this is why I ended up adding on the heavy metals. I mean,
the mercury is high, super high.
you know,
How can it be normal to have any of those things in your body? Arsenic normal. What does normal mean?
There's some exposure that is considered normal based on epidemiological studies.
Yeah, I
So
just
they go to averages. And yeah.
I was just listening to a video from Nick Norowitz on YouTube. He had a scientist on talking about mercury. And he's going like, well, we'd rather have you eat the fish for the omega-3 than worry about the mercury.
So
I'm
what I
going,
would
what?
say, so mercury, so many microbes have mercury, or not many, some microbes have mercury reductases. And so if you have a healthy microbiome, you will be detoxifying mercury. But I have a bunch of root canals and dental things that need to come out of my head.
I already took mine out.
You know, so that's probably why I have mercury. The aluminum, you know, it's everywhere.
Oh yeah, aluminum is
yeah.
very everywhere.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So
anyway, but the point is, these chemicals are like, we're all exposed to them. There are
so
hundreds.
how much does this product cost? And Karen was talking about it being too expensive.
Yes. It cost $199 for the general.
I've looked at detox stuff, and it's like $300, $400, $500. And I'm going, I don't even think that the products are that good. It was, you know, so I haven't done it.
Yeah, no, usually the protocols I was recommending before I had my own, we're in the range of $350, $400 per month.
Yeah, that's all I've ever seen. So
Because isn't
190 is
that,
reasonable.
a lot of that's Quicksilver stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Quicksilver is really
Chris
expensive.
did a great job. I hands down, he was the guy who brought attention to all these issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, they come with a price, and also again, the if you need to increase a lot of products, a lot of bottles, put them in the mix to get the comprehensiveness.
Martha, where did you get that test done?
I actually, I was in Austin at a little health fair at Freddie Kimmel's, but there are people all over who do the oligo scan, and I just bought the device and I'm getting trained on it because we're going to use it in our little Parkinson's study. But you're far away from me, so I don't know. Where are you, Mary?
In Texas.
Oh, what part of Texas?
Waco.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be in Austin a couple of times between now and May. You could drive down and I could scan you.
There you go. I could do that. You just let me know. I'll be there.
I mean, it's a pretty interesting device. I think we have one question left with Jen, and then we got to let Haroldo go.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Magarinos. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
Sorry, I'll just ask just a quick one, and that is, I'm a health coach, nutrition coach, and so in the order of operations with somebody, most of my clients come to me with gut issues. Um, is anything contraindicated to work on like SIBO and your detox products at the same time?
If anything, you're going to have a synergistic
Okay.
improvement. The again, everything you work around your body's pathways relies on the functionality of these organs, and any type of, again, blocking agent will get in between what you're trying to achieve using any protocol that you like, you think is the best for your patients. The only thing I didn't use and I didn't make was a probiotic, which I believe is critical. Not because Martha is listening. I said this without Martha here. It's because I trust that's something that's well supported already. Just good information, good products.
Good tools.
I didn't want to get involved in that part.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that's really straightforward. So now that's well taken care of. This part is missing. As I said before, you can use anything on the side. It won't interfere. There's only two big contraindications, actually three: pregnancy,
Yes.
breastfeeding, and very severe disease on the kidney, on kidneys or liver perspective that needs to be, again, first addressed with your primary care physician or whoever is overseeing that. Beyond that, everyone can use it, not children. This was developed for potency-wise to be used 12 years and up of age, not below that. We're coming probably in the future with something that is adjusted for kids. Kids are more sensitive because they have their organs developing. So I do guide, actually, I'm guiding right now a couple of friends, their children, that they have tremendous amount of toxicity levels in their bodies, unfortunately. And it's sad to see kids 2 years of age, 3 years of age, like suffering from all these toxins. But that said, there's a different approach. Now, that Rationale, that protocol that I've been creating over the years to support little children with a lot of success. I mean, I've seen with my own eyes, which is great, kids becoming verbal again. And so when you see that, then you have hope. And now you know you have a plan. You have one, and that I want to pass all that knowledge to one product for kids. And hopefully that will be materialized in the next year. It takes some time for getting something done. Martha knows about this too. So more than
Yes.
so yeah, that's regarding your question. No overlapping besides those three contraindications. And as I said before, and I want to reinforce that idea. The more you do on the detoxification pathways, the least or less you need to do on everything. Your nutrients
that makes sense.
better, your microbiome gets better, your neurotransmitters become optimized. There's no reason why, from a biological standpoint, today, any one of us should not be performing at an optimal level, except for the environment we have been growing through our entire life, or most of our lives, depending on how old we are. And that's the only explanation. And so if you look at even epigenetics, that people say, oh, I have an MTHFR mutation, whatever. That's vast, transgenerationally, because the parents were exposed to toxins and they create that epigenetic expression that you acquire. And you can actually reverse that.
So if you do, so we have one,
Oh.
I know I said that was the last question, but real quickly. So like if you did 6 months of the product, then, would you do like a periodic, maintenance, come back, once a quarter or 2 times a year, or, what would you recommend if somebody is very intentional and focused on clean eating and avoiding what they can, they're still going to get exposed. I mean,
Yeah.
So how often would you recommend that somebody do a kind of a periodic cleanup?
Well, depending on this is super individual, and I would like to base that decision on the testing.
Yeah.
So I will do once a year the testing if I can, and get things
And
clarified,
see what it looks like.
see what I need to get done. My philosophy is trying to get the most done with the least amount of things in place. Simplicity is a blessing in every aspect. So when it comes to that question, in an average, I will do this once a year. In average, but this is an average. Some people maybe will do it every other year, and it will be fine. The only thing I will do, though, on a consistent basis, if you want to stay proactive or on the top of this, it would be the product remover, which you can't unfortunately get with a consumer's account, only by a practitioner's account. That product by itself, used once daily, not even twice daily, so it will last twice as much, the bottle. It's a great maintenance. I'm planning to make maintenance, but actually that product alone resolves that maintenance for now, the maintenance issue. So you can use that, and that alone opens opening the pathways, keeps the bile flowing, keeps everything mobilized. The binder is the one that I don't like to use for a long time, because again, we need to take a break because your gut also can become a little bit dehydrated, and we need to just stop that for a certain amount of time. But again, that will be solved if you stop it for 3 months. You're fine. So that's it.
Well, we thank you for coming again. You're always so informative. I'm glad you've got the products on the market. I am very happy with my experience with it. I will have to have a side conversation with you about what's going on in the regulatory approval, which is hard. And so I will let you go, and then I'm gonna let Gail give a plug for my book that she read.
Beautiful.
So
Okay.
this is my book I have out, Geraldo.
That's
My
fantastic.
search for the perfect poop. And
That's going to
it's,
be a New York Times bestseller. I can tell. It is.
It's a lot of sort of funny poop stories to get people thinking about how important their poop is, and
I need a
people
copy.
People don't pay attention to it. And send me your address, I'll send you one.
Please. Sign.
Of
that
course. But it's like, you got to go, people. I mean, that's the key to eliminating all those toxins. Is I see there's a little person behind you. I think it's time to go do something important.
Well, no, but this is what I do. It's inspired by this.
Yes,
That's right.
I'm not taking care of their health. We're not doing our job. I had maybe a share of time in my life that I didn't have so many toxins in the world. They didn't have a break since day one.
No.
I want to do something about it. Well, let you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Being with all of you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks again.
All right. So, Gail, you have to tell them what you think about the book.
Okay, so I asked Martha if we could do her book in the book club, because like one of the first days that it was available, I grabbed it and had no idea exactly what it was going to be about. But it is truly, has anybody else read it yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. Oh no,
I did
Chris has read it. Chris proofread it for me.
There you go. I thought it was amazing. And you'll see a side of Martha that you don't know. And I feel like I know Martha pretty well, but it's truly an amazing little book that I honestly feel like can change the world, because it's so relatable to everybody. And you're really going to want to give it away to everybody who doesn't understand who you and I are. because we're the freaks that take care of our health. So I asked Martha if maybe we could do the book for the book club, because I learned, in fact, I'm going to go back and read. I was reading it out loud to my husband, who doesn't care about poop, but and he needs to read it along with, so many people. But it was absolutely, it's incredibly well written. You will laugh your way through it, as well as learn. You'll learn I guarantee you will learn some things that you didn't know, even though we've spent, a lot of time with Martha. So I thought I would ask if we could do that, and then encourage you guys to grab the book. And I'm not a good reader. I have ADHD pretty bad, and I'm not a great reader. And I could not put it down, and I was laughing so hard, and I was texting Dr. Osmond, who I felt like she should have been that wrote the book, because she's such a jokester. But anyways, grab the book and see what you think, and let's discuss it, because I think I'm very proud of Martha, and I'm excited because I think this will just be a great launch pad into her next book. That's,
yep.
I think, a little more serious.
Thank you, Mary. Yep, that's it. And then I have another book that it's on schedule right now for release in May. And I gotta look at something. It is actually like it's the longer story of this whole 20 some odd years of trying to figure out Parkinson's, and the life with John, and the science behind it, and really discovering after John passed away, through the work with Dr. Nenham, some really profound things that we have put out in this scientific paper about what's missing and what's wrong in the science. And when you start to understand how the things all really work, everything really does work. And so the title of that book is going to be Connected: Love, Loss, and the Unseen Forces Behind Chronic Disease. And Chris is also proofread, or sort of one of my advanced readers of that right now. I have several people reading it while the editor's going through it. So
Sounds
Martha, I
good.
think it would, I love Gail's idea to do a book club on your, it would be so fun, because we all know, we know you, and that's something we all have in common, that we're connected to you. And I just think it would be a great night. Gail, great idea. I'm seeing some thumbs up around here, and
I will check and see what, I can't remember what our next one is. Emran Mayer's book, but I haven't heard back from him. I tried to get him to come on the show. I know him, and his book is a little bit older. So maybe I'll think about having her change that. Next month we could do this, because if he's not going to join us, it doesn't really matter if we do his book. And most of the time when I do those more obscure books, I'm the only person who reads them. So, and at least if Gail and I have read this, and Chris has read it, I think the other thing that it will kind of spark for you, because like everybody's got a poop story. Like everybody's got a poop story. And, when you start thinking about it.
What's the title of the book?
My Search for the Perfect Poop.
Ah, okay. At first I heard food, and I'm going, I wonder what the food is. Poop sounds good to me.
No, but see can you see the title here?
There, yeah. Now I see it. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I was having trouble finding it on Amazon, but if you put my name in, you can find it, because my other book is in there. The one about Kilimanjaro that we did with all the people who climbed Kilimanjaro.
So I need that book, because my poop is not good. So
yeah.
Well,
Well,
I have,
Martha, is,
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
what's the date of the book club if we were to do it next? It might be good to give people a chance. Think people would really be motivated to read it if we had a little more time.
Yeah, probably. It's 2 weeks out.
Oh, 2 weeks?
No.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
no,
if
Mary's saying not soon enough. It's not very long. It's really short, but
it is short,
okay, I'll do it the next month.
well, I do other
Oh,
people
are you
agree?
okay with 2 weeks? Yeah. It's not next Tuesday. It's the Tuesday after.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm, if I
I'll
get
order.
the stuff on the book club. Is there a separate email on that?
Well, there sort of is. It's always in the newsletter. So I can,
And the link is out in there also
um,
in the newsletter?
I don't know. I will have Bridget make sure she puts the link in. So.
I see it posted on Facebook as well. If you follow Facebook and you follow,
I'm not in, I don't think that's in the same.
On Sugar Shift, the
Yes.
Sugar Shift?
Is it in the community lab?
it's in the community lab. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or is
Maybe
there,
have your tech person check. But it is a really quick read because you can't put it down.
yeah, I don't have a
I
problem
literally
reading it. I just have a problem getting on the book club or this lab sometimes. The links don't work all the time.
Well, the lab didn't work last time. You might have missed. I said at the beginning, we actually, the emails that went out, one of them had the old link. And so some people got the old link. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
That's what I got.
And
yeah.
Kevin wasn't on last time. It was just me. And so I wasn't able to flip back and forth. And, there were too many things for me to do. So I didn't.
Oh,
I think it's been fixed now.
Okay, I think I was on last time. Okay, I get the book.
Yeah, I'm inviting everybody for, with Gail's really good idea to get the book, read it. There have been up to 20 people on tonight. I see 12 still on, but we could really have a great night.
So
Another
Martha,
great night.
did you say that you'd done the product from
Yes.
yes? And are you happy with the results?
I was really happy with the results. So I did the general detox for December, January, and February, and then I ordered the heavy metals. So I started out just, let's get and I was just amazed at how well I just was feeling better immediately. And I have pretty regular bowel movements, but I could definitely tell that I was removing more toxic waste.
Well, the products help with bowel movements? Because I don't need it. I'm just now getting because I was having loose stools all day long. And
Well,
now I'm down to one a day.
Yeah. I don't think it would. It doesn't cause diarrhea if that's, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
saying, I could tell, instead of going once a day, I maybe went twice a day. And when I went in the morning, it was maybe more than it had been. So I knew, it's hard to describe, because like we're talking about poop, but I could, you just know if you pay attention to your poop that you're getting out more waste. So,
okay.
And I'm doing the heavy metals one now. And same thing. I'm having a regular bowel movement every morning, but I'm wondering if the metals, it's a slightly different consistency than it was just doing the general.
And I remember talking with Jen and also with Dr. Davis about heavy metals that required saunas and stuff like that to remove them. So this will take out the heavy metals from our brain and everywhere?
That would have been a question for him, but I mean, I could do a little more research, but um, I do
Or
know,
maybe he'll
like,
have that in.
you know, I did a detox with Benazati probably 4 years ago, 3, 4 years ago, and I mean that was basically the detox protocol from Dr. Pompa, and that thing was like, I don't know, it was $2,000.
At least.
At least it was 3,000. I mean, it was a lot of money. A lot of money.
Well, that I didn't think his product was expensive, but Karen made me question, like maybe I had misunderstood, but I think $190.
Well, I mean, you know, but that's expensive. I mean, you know, that's expensive for a lot of people,
Oh, yes, it is, but
but it's not expensive compared to a lot of these
yeah, the
detox
other ones that we've been looking
protocols.
at. Yeah.
And to the problems that toxins cause for us, it's critical that we figure it out, however we figure it out, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm sure that you agree, Jen, with you. I'm sure you see this
Yeah.
all the time in your practice.
Yeah.
And
Well-
then minimizing exposure. Okay, so we detox, we fix our gut. How do we keep it that way?
Yeah.
And with the toxins that we don't so this test, I think, is going to be really impactful.
Yes. Yes.
Did I
Yeah,
miss?
And the problem is, I think that we're always from this day forward, and even before now, the toxic burden is so much greater than it has been in the past. I think that we have to have some sort of continual detox. Maybe not this form, but you know, maybe if you can, maybe our sweating will be better, and maybe these things are
Yeah.
compound and help things, because there's lymphatic drainage. There's so many different things, but if you're blocked cellularly, you're never going to get
You're not.
anything to
Yeah.
work. I don't
Right.
know.
Well, you know, it's interesting for me. I had a lymphatic drainage massage this was like 2 weeks ago. And I did a sauna that same day afterwards, and I sweated so much more after having had that
Yes.
lymphatic. And it's like, wow, okay, all that was opened up and able to exit more than
Well, and
yeah.
with this program that you're also doing, that could have played a part as well.
Yeah,
With his program that you're doing, who knows?
yeah. But you know, I'm getting ready to go. So I'm flying tomorrow, and I'm going to be gone for 10 days. I'm staying in a hotel, eating out,
Right.
restaurant food for, however many days. Then I go from Austin to Denver, and I'm, again, I'm staying with my son, but, I'm not cooking my own meals and
Right.
sort of planning my own kind of thing. And so I'll have 10 days of what I'll say is probably an accelerated toxic burden again.
Right.
And then I come back home and I have my little sauna here, and I, do my Epsom salt bath every night, and I, do all these things, and then I run back out and go back, go back up
Yeah.
the hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, I'm like the little gerbil on the wheel, I guess, but I mean, I feel good.
Right.
And I have that machine I'm taking to Dave Asprey's thing where you measure your skin fluorescence, and it measures your age based on your advanced glycation end products, and that's basically the sugars attaching to proteins and fats and that deposits in your skin. And I was like one standard deviation better than my age for my skin fluorescence. So I was pretty excited about that. And I figured that was sugar shift, because sugar shift actually, because it's converting glucose and fructose. Those are sugars that actually glycate and will
Right.
build up in those things. But mannitol is not a glycating sugar. So
Yeah.
that's my
Interesting. So,
But that the oligo scan, I can find out from the owner of that if you're in Waco. I know
Uh-huh.
he's in Austin, but there are people around the country who do that, and it's pretty interesting because that's also a skin fluorescence test. So that you're
Mm.
scanning 4 parts of your non-dominant hand, and then it reads your, well, actually I'll show it to you again here. And then I gotta go because I have to go pack my bag. But so it tests your minerals. So, and this is interesting because he told me this is supposed to sort of look like going in different directions, and I don't have a lot of going in different directions. And I knew my minerals were probably depleted. I do add minerals back, but I've been on reverse osmosis water for a long time, and that's that hungry water that Geraldo was talking about. So you can see I have unsatisfactory mineral deficiencies, so I'm trying to correct that. But my vitamins were all pretty good except for vitamin D, but it was the dead of winter. So I'm not really shocked by that because I did a blood test for active vitamin D and my active vitamin D was fine. But I think my vitamins are good because the vitamins are made in the microbiome and I do all this work on the microbiome. But this, I did mercury chelation 12 years ago, and this was way down. But like he's saying, you do something like that and you get a good result, but it's not permanent. And I still have the dental amalgams. The aluminum, they're spraying the aluminum. I've seen Dr. Ed Group has shown when they spray the skies, and he does a sauna, and he has taken his sweat from times when they weren't spraying the sky and when they were spraying the sky, and there's a lot more aluminum in his sweat when they're spraying the skies. And then cadmium, of course, I eat a lot of dark chocolate, and that's a place where cadmium is. Gadolinium, that's from MRIs, which I have not had, but there's a lot of gadolinium in the water now. And so part of what I was thinking about here, because somewhere else has fluoride, and I'm like, okay, well, I've been filtering my water for a long time, but I drink water or I go out to the coffee shop, which is using the local water that has fluoride in it. So I've stopped going to the local coffee shop, which I feel bad about. But so this is, so that's why I'm doing this heavy metals thing, because the, lack of sulfur conjugation.
so did you do a test? So you did a test before you did the heavy metal stuff?
Yes. Yep.
So you'll be
did
able to retest yourself then.
Yeah, I was supposed to be able to retest myself today, but they haven't sent me the software. So I'm still waiting on that. But, and I had stopped taking, I was taking, I was putting magnesium drops that are calcium magnesium drops, ocean trace minerals in my water. And I had stopped doing that for several months. And I think that's, what I'm seeing here. But it's interesting. My oxidative stress is in protection is good. These are not optimal, but probably for my age, not bad. So kind of interesting.
Well, I'm gonna look into that oglio scan.
You need to know your blood type. So that was interesting because he told me, so I actually had to buy these blood typing tests for all the people who are going to be in our Parkinson's study, because not everybody knows their blood type. And
Right.
he said the scan will be off by, or the results will be off by about 30% if they don't know their blood type,
Oh,
which is
I already know my blood type, so.
which is interesting to me. Because we were also talking about, he was showing me some different tests and stuff today. And he was talking about people who have type O blood, which I have, are typically low in iodine. Which I was like, that's interesting.
Wonder why.
I don't know. He had a paper he was going to send me, but he hasn't sent me any of the stuff he was going to send me today. So he either had a busy day or he hasn't gotten to me yet or what. Sharon, you had your hand up earlier. Did you have a question? No or yes?
Yes, I did. I did want to ask a question. I'm actually an MD. I'm a psychiatrist. I work in a clinic with very poor patients in New York City, in the Bronx. And I have one patient is very depressed and also has fatty liver and mild kidney disease, and but is otherwise healthy with all her labs. And I thought about toxins, and I can get her tested for lead toxicity. Medicaid will pay for that, but I was worried about other toxins too. So I thought about lead because she smokes marijuana, which an awful lot of people do, and I know it's a bioaccumulator and can have cadmium and lead toxicity bioaccumulate in marijuana, even if it's from
all the heavy metals accumulate. It's hemp, the cannabis plant is a tremendous chelator. So is, like, people don't, I mean, kale is also a heavy metal chelator. There's a number of plants that, pull the metals up into their, so anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no. Great to know, because I wasn't aware, and like I would say the majority of the patients smoke marijuana, and that's a good profile compared to all the other drugs that are used. But I was thinking about testing for her. Also, there are a lot of poor people that live in old buildings with old pipes with lead, and I thought about maybe she's exposed to lead that way, and I can get her tested for that with a blood test. And I've been hearing about how expensive heavy metal testing is. So I just wanted to ask if any other suggestions for testing for that. I also have training in holistic medicine, so I'm very open-minded about alternative treatments and holistic treatment.
Well, I mean, I'm not that familiar with the testing. I know Haroldo is. I do remember years ago when we went through the testing with my husband, John, it was incredibly expensive to test. I mean, I cannot even begin to tell you how much money we spent testing different things to try to figure things out. So, one of the things I also wanted to bring up, because I met this gentleman at actually the Acres Ag Conference that makes this product called Organic Gut Solution, which is a binder. But he started making this product for the cattle because they have so much problems because they eat all the, they have all the spray on the grasses and the feed, and this is activated organic biocarbons. But basically, he told me a lot of people who take activated charcoal, a lot of the charcoal has other toxins in it. I meant to ask Haroldo about this. And this actually comes from, like, I think 4 types of trees in a biochar that don't have any of those. And I don't remember how much it was. I bought it at the conference, but it's called, you can go to organicgutsolution.com, and it's called the Healthy Gut Happy Human. And, that's something you could look at too. But one thing I will say, so I did take a week off from the
protocol.
doing the binders, because I did start to notice I was getting lines in my fingernails, which is an indication that too many nutrients are being pulled out.
Mm.
So I do think I want to get rid of all this stuff, but I also need to be mindful, because the other thing, I was a blood donor and I was donating blood every 3 months because I'm O negative and they would call me all the time. And right about the same time of all of this, my blood work was my iron, all this stuff was really squirrely looking. And I was like, you can't donate blood every 3 months and expect to restore all your nutrients and while you are binding up all this stuff. And so right now I'm I'm trying to rebuild while detoxifying. So I'm not taking it every day. I'm doing sort of every other day or every 2 or 3 days while I try to build back my minerals. Because I hadn't really thought, so I was doing the blood donation partly because it's part of the RCP and you're trying to get your iron levels down. And I've had really high iron levels all my life. And I finally did. I mean, they're finally back down at like my hemoglobin's 13.5. And it's been 15.8, or 16 for a long time. So I finally did get that down, but what I hadn't really thought about was the fact that, okay, yeah, you're getting rid of the iron, but you're also, when you do a whole blood donation, you're getting rid of all your albumin, and albumin is what carries all those trace minerals around the body. And I don't think that's very smart, to be donating all the time. So I'm kind of rethinking that as maybe not the best strategy. Especially as you age and you're already sort of.
I think it would. I mean, I've kind of heard it.
What are you saying?
In the holistic world, I've kind of heard some people believe this is actually healthy, that it's a way of detoxifying. And also, of course, it would depend on your ferritin. If your ferritin is also too high or just
no, my
iron.
ferritin. They called me from LabCorp to tell me that my ferritin was 8.
Wow. Okay. So that's a reason not to.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I think most of
one of these iron biologists that Morley had talked to has written a couple of papers, and actually way more than a couple of papers. But Morley asked him one time, he's like, "Well, what should the ferritin level be?" And he said 0. And Morley's like, "I don't know about that." But the LabCorp thought they were. I've never had the LabCorp people call me before they sent the results out, and they were like, "Your ferritin is really low." And I was like, "Well, high ferritin is a sign of inflammation in the body. Dealing with problems is like, I don't lack energy. I'm not having a problem with that." So,
also sometimes LabCorp has wonky results, and then you send the specimen to Quest, and it's normal. So sometimes just trying a different way to confirm if think something seems like it's not right.
So anyway, I'm doing my 3 months of rebuilding, and then I'm gonna retest and check everything, see what it looks like.
No, that sounds like a good idea. To see also what feels right. But I also had one more quick question. I'd like to get on the email list because I feel like I am getting the BiotiQuest meeting invitations, or actually I've been listening to it on YouTube, but I don't get other emails for other notifications. Is there something I can do to get on the email list?
Well, if you just go to the website and you get this little pop-up that pops up and you enter your email, that will put you on that will get you on the newsletter list and all the general information.
Great. Well, thanks very much. And I really enjoyed the presentation tonight. And I'm looking forward to your book and your book about Parkinson's. And, I think it's especially very, very interesting because of your unique role as being both the wife and the healer.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's a really good representation of female strength as wife, nurturer, and healer, like, you know, and bringing that energy to this literary presentation. That, you know what I mean? I feel like
Thank you.
it's a good energy for women to see this. And this is what happens in real life. You know, that women live longer than men. Women, you know, suffer through the process of trying to heal the person they love, and then having to process the person's transition from healthy and strong, the person they love, to someone who needs a lot of help, and yet to still find meaning and strength in life as a woman. So I think it's great both in helping people have the awareness of Parkinson's, but also from a point of view of you know, seeing the strength and the process that actually most women go through at some point in life.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that.
Oh, you're very sure.
Okay, well, I'm going to sign off now because I have to go pack a suitcase and I have to leave at 6:15 in the morning. So I have to get going.
Yeah.
All right, Martha, thank you.
Thank
So we'll
you.
see you next time. Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.